I always loved animals, and I realized there were many other people who did too. But I also realized the problem was huge, multi-leveled, and very, very overwhelming. So I decided I really needed to create different kinds of approaches that were innovative and effective.
One thing in this country that's experiencing the opposite of inflation, home prices, which have of course led to a record number of foreclosures. And the people who are losing their homes in this country aren't the only ones suffering or losing out in this crisis. That report from NBC's Chris Jansing.
It is a national tragedy. Come on, Tech. Come on.
Melia Kaplan has been rescuing animals for 15 years in California. Now she's opened a hotline for homeowners facing foreclosure.
We got a call from a man who was crying on the phone. He said, "My dog is so good, and he knows how to sit, and he knows how to give you his paw. Please don't make me take him to the shelter." The first thing was to establish an animal emergency hotline that anybody could call from anywhere about any animal they were concerned about, and they would get help. We recently received a call from a pastor on Skid Row who asked us to take in the 40 cats and kittens he and his wife had been feeding for many years.
We're here at the Amazing Grace Church in downtown Skid Row, and the pastor here and his wife have been housing and feeding cats for the past decade, dozens and dozens of cats, but they sold the church, and now the cats, well, they must go. The good people from Voice for the Animals have been here since 5 a.m. setting up their have-a-heart traps with a little tuna fish inside. They estimate about 50 felines are on the ground, and they aim to capture all these little guys before the day is done, then take the cats and the kittens to their LA facility and hopefully find them loving homes. Everyone who showed up today is a volunteer, including a couple of cat lovers with the LAPD.
You know what, I started working with Voice for the Animals about 15 years ago when I was a sergeant out in Venice Beach, and have been working with them for years on a bunch of different projects. They do so much good all over the city, rescuing animals, helping to work with the city to change some laws so it makes it illegal to sell animals on the streets.
After being cured of ringworm, sterilized, vaccinated, and microchipped, Pumpkin was the first Skid Row kitten to be placed in a new home. Most of the animals that we take in are like Kitty Cat, whose family abandoned him after 11 years. These are animals who had homes, whose owners either died or simply abandoned them, but we never give up on them. I also wanted to create solutions where there were none. Feral cats are unfortunately deemed unadoptable and routinely euthanized in shelters.
While these Wilshire Division cops are out patrolling the streets, these cats are patrolling their station house, chasing away the rats. Like much of downtown LA, the Wilshire Division was infested with rats that were making people sick and creating chaos. The cats were finally put to work here after rat poison and extermination failed.
They patrol the station, keep the rats away, keep the pigeons away.
Is it working?
Yes, it is.
Putting the cats to work here at the police station was an idea of Melia Kaplan, an animal activist. She says these cats all come from the pound where they would have been euthanized. This idea of using cats to drive away rats worked so well here at the police station that the Flower Mart in downtown LA hired some working cats. The Flower Mart was so infested with rats, they were driving away customers, eating flowers. Finally, they brought cats in here, and that got rid of all the rats.
They did the job, man. They came in here and they cleaned this place up.
It was so effective. Literally that same day they got dropped off. That was the end of the rats.
I knew, and when we did it at Wilshire, it worked. So I knew when we got to Foothill, and we had the number of mice that we had on the property, that sticky traps, there weren't enough sticky traps in Los Angeles to solve that problem. So we needed a more viable alternative, one that was going to work, and the cats provided the solution for us.
It really was such a positive force. It made it easy for me to get in the neighborhood and make connections with people.
And not only did the rats go away, but the cats brought the whole community together. There's a common bond between all the different people on this block. People from all over the world that don't speak the same languages, very different cultures, And because we're all out there enjoying and observing the cats, we have more of a common bond and more of a sense of community that they've built, and that's all because of the cats.
This year, Voice for the Animals produced a calendar called Rescued by the LAPD to show how much our police officers care about animals. And we are very honored to have Chief Beck, Chief of Police, on the cover of our 2013 Rescued by the LAPD calendar. We believe that education is the major factor in changing hearts and minds, and we educate in a number of ways. Voice for the Animals, along with a group of students from Crossroads and New Roads schools, made a film called Elephants and Man in order to educate people about the treatment of elephants in captivity.
If you want to really do something for the elephants, put them in a beautiful preserve where they can have a life, where they can get back together.
Voice for the Animals established a humane education program where Robert Ferber, LA City attorney who prosecutes animal abuse, goes into schools across the city and teaches students about compassion and reverence for all life.
Little Bear has something that's obviously different from most dogs.
When he came in with the dog, and I felt really empowered because I see so many animals every day. I'm like, oh, you know, it's just a dog. What is he gonna say? I've heard this many times about animals being hurt, animal testing. And when he really started telling us stories, I really understood more.
A Little Bear was born without a leg. If you look carefully, you could actually see that there's like almost the beginnings of a leg.
If you have a difference, that is even more reason to be alive, because that means you've overcome it.
Everything Voice for the Animals does every day of the year could not have been done without your help. On behalf of all the animals whose lives have been saved, we thank you.